The awakened empath, Carl Jung's most terrifying discovery. Carl Jung uncovered a psychological transformation so unsettling, he called it one of the most shocking changes he had ever witnessed in human nature. Across decades of work, he began noticing the same type of patient over and over, most often empaths. On the surface, they seemed gentle, even fragile, people who carried deep wounds and quiet sadness. But when something inside them snapped, they became something else entirely. I call them the awakened ones. These individuals embodied Jung's idea of shadow integration, and once it happened, they didn't just change their own lives, they rewrote what psychology understood about human strength. The kindest people are not weak. From his clinic in Zurich, Jung recorded case after case of empaths who had been torn apart by the very people they loved. They showed up with bruises they excused away, depression they blamed on themselves, and an almost automatic habit of apologizing for existing. They were the emotional shock absorbers of their families, absorbing alcoholic parents' rage, a spouse's infidelity, a sibling's dysfunction. But Jung realized something strange. These people weren't just enduring the abuse, they were cataloging it. In their minds, they kept detailed records, precise maps of every manipulator's fears, triggers, and weaknesses, and they never used this knowledge until something forced them past their breaking point. The breaking point. Jung found that this breaking point almost always came from betrayal. Not just a casual lie, but a deep, devastating breach of trust by someone they had protected with their whole heart. They had seen the warning signs all along, but chose to ignore them, because that's what empaths do. They blamed themselves. They worked harder to please. They stayed silent. Then came what I call the clarity event, the moment their ability to see patterns overpowered their need to believe the best in others. And when that moment arrived, the reaction was nothing like what anyone expected. They didn't cry. They didn't scream. They didn't collapse. They became calm, unnaturally calm, from victim to strategist. This was the moment of shadow integration, when an empath's emotional intelligence joined forces with their analytical mind. They began speaking the truth, not with rage, but with precision. They laid out every lie, every manipulation, every hidden agenda they had seen for years, as if reading from an invisible file. It wasn't revenge, it was clarity. And once they stepped into that clarity, they never went back. They stopped doubting their own perceptions. They stopped apologizing for having boundaries. They stopped being afraid of being too much. They became selectively empathetic, still caring deeply, but only for those who had earned it. The predator's instinct. Jung noticed something fascinating and disturbing. People who had once used them now felt uneasy in their presence. Manipulators avoided them instinctively, like predators avoiding a stronger animal. Jung called this the predator's instinct, the ability to sense when someone is no longer prey. The awakened empath didn't need to prove anything. They didn't need to announce their transformation. Others could feel it. And the most terrifying part? They could now see straight through people. In minutes, they could identify core wounds, hidden fears, and deep insecurities, often more accurately than trained psychologists. The choice that changes everything. Jung worried about what might happen if this power fell into the wrong hands. An awakened empath without ethics could manipulate others as easily as they had once been manipulated. But the ones he studied made a different choice. They used their gift to rebuild, to protect, to remove themselves from toxic systems, quietly and strategically. They became, in Jung's words, love with boundaries, capable of great kindness for those who deserved it, an unshakable strength against those who didn't. They were immune to gaslighting, immune to emotional abuse, immune to the old games that once broke them. From sensitivity to conscious choice, Jung realized that the journey of an empath isn't from sensitivity to numbness. It's from unconscious absorption to conscious choice. Their sensitivity was never the weakness. It was always the weapon. The moment they learn to use it consciously, they become unstoppable. If you've reached the point where you trust your perceptions completely, comment this: I see you, but I don't need you. A force of nature. Jung followed many of these awakened empaths for years. What he saw was remarkable. Their businesses thrived because they could understand people's needs before they were spoken. Their relationships were healthy because they could spot manipulation instantly. Their decisions were sharper because they trusted themselves fully. They didn't lose their heart, they gained a backbone. And they became something rare, people who could feel everything, yet be destroyed by nothing. The final truth. Jung's last notes on these cases reveal his deepest insight. An empath's greatest tragedy is not their sensitivity, it's how long they wait to honor it. When they finally awaken, they don't become someone new. They become who they were always meant to be. If you're ready for that transformation, write this in the comments. I choose conscious transformation. Because the world doesn't need more broken empaths. It needs more awakened ones. And Jung's research proves that when the moment comes, the empath will snap. The only question is, will you control that power, or will it control you? This is your Stoic reminder. Your sensitivity isn't your curse, it's your sword. And when you learn to wield it with wisdom, you become a force of nature no one can break.